So this time I'll be talking about Dracula from the Marvel Legends Marvel Monsters gift set. Dracula is the vampire of all vampires. He first appears in Suspense number 7, and then gets his own title in Tomb of Dracula in 1972, done by Marv Wolfman and Gene Colan primarily. That has a run of, 70 issues. That's a wonderful series. Great art, great stories. If you can pick up these essentials, they're just great stories. And the Blade comes into it, and if you're a fan of the Blade movies, Blade's in them, Hannibal King's in them, lots of stuff from the movies came out of this series. So anyway, let's start talking about Dracula, and we're going to have to go back to 1430, where he is Prince of Wallachia, and of course his name is Lord Dracula, and he becomes known for impaling his enemies, and hence gets the name Vlad the Impaler. Now, he's a normal human, just a warrior, defender of his realm, just a normal human, which the Marvel Universe takes him into the Bram Stoker novel. And they also give him a history of how the historical figure became the vampire. And in 1549, a wounded Dracula, who is defending himself and his country against invading Turks, is brought to a band of gypsies to be healed. Well, unfortunately for them, one of the gypsies turns out to be a vampire, and turns Vlad into a vampire. While he's away, Turks invade one of his castles, and they kill his wife. So he goes out as a vampire and basically kills all the Turks, takes his revenge, and comes back to the gypsies with his infant son, or his young son, and he gives the son to the gypsies to raise. And shortly thereafter, he defeats the current ruler of vampires to become Lord of the Vampires, and then he also meets Barney, who is a vampire that is so old that she actually was she was an Atlantean. He takes her blood and gains all of her powers, and basically becomes the supreme vampire, and gains all the traditional vampire powers that you see Dracula use, through all different interpretations of him. Now, in 1741, he abdicates his throne, or his rule, wanders around being a vampire, And that's when the events of the novel by Bram Stoker take place. And if you recall, he's destroyed at the end of that, and they put his remains in a coffin and seal it up. Well, he's revived unwittingly, as I said in his video, by the Frankenstein monster, and is quickly, soon after, destroyed again, until the modern times, 20th century, we're talking, when he's restored by a guy named Clifton Graves. And that's basically takes you into the Tomb of Dracula series, where he meets his human descendant of his son, Frank Drake, Rachel Van Helsing, and Quincy Harker, the descendants of the people he was involved with in the Bram Stoker novel. Blade, Hannibal King. He then has a couple appearances in other Marvel Universe books. X-Men, where he tries to convert Storm into a vampire. Doctor Strange, a couple issues. There's a great crossover between Doctor Strange and Tomb of Dracula, where they fight each other. Finally, Doctor Strange used the Montesi formula contained within the Darkhold to destroy all the vampires in the world. That includes Dracula. Somehow, it's not revealed how yet. The Montesi formula is negated and vampires start cropping up, including Dracula. Soon after, he was seen in Captain Britain and MI13 trying to invade the UK from a base on the moon, on the dark side of the moon. I know, kind of wacky and out there, but it worked. He was actually killed with the sword Excalibur. Of course he'll return because it's Dracula. He always returns. So, let's go through the vampire powers. He's strong enough to take on Colossus. He's fast. Being a vampire, he's of course immortal. As long as he gets a fresh supply of blood. He has hypnosis. He can look at people and get them to do his bidding. He can dominate animals, take over their minds, particularly rats, bats, and wolves. Shape-shifting. He can turn into a regular-sized bat, or a giant bat, a wolf, or he can even become a mist and become intangible. He can control storms, summon lightning. Of course, he has the limitations and weaknesses of the vampire, which he casts no reflection. His image cannot be captured by photographic means. He has an aversion to daylight, UV rays, and particularly direct sunlight will fry him up like toast. He's got an allergic reaction to garlic. Silver weapons will hurt him, and of course religious symbols, if held by someone who is a true believer in the symbol or the faith that symbol represents,